Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's such an exciting day because it is officially fall. I'm so excited. I have been putting off trying to get into the fall mood okay, I've had a little bit of slips where I have, but like I've avoided decorating completely for fall, jumping into my fall books and stuff like that because I've been trying to enjoy the seasons as they come, and I didn't want to rush out of summer because it was still really nice outside, and you know, like I've been trying to slow down and not just like jump into the next thing and not enjoy the space that I'm in. So I've been doing that. But now that it's officially fall, I can embrace what I've been wanting to embrace for like the past 2 weeks. So I'm very, very excited about that. Today, obviously, we are going to be talking about my fall TBR, as you can tell from the title. Now, I will address the fact that my thumbnail picture looks entirely different than I currently look, and that is because this is my third time filming this. I filmed both the first and second take in the stupid slow-mo no audio function that the camera has for whatever bizarre reason. Didn't realize it, obviously, the first time that was what it was in. I even filmed an entire week's worth of reading vlog footage in that function, which really was very, very sad and depressing when I figured that out. Sat down earlier today, again, to refilm this and acknowledged the fact that I did this the first time and then proceeded to do it again. So this time we've double checked, it is in the normal speed, and that's where it's going to stay, thank God. I think third time's going to be the charm for this. So I did do one of these videos last year, and all the books that I didn't end up getting to on that list, either in the fall time or in the months between last fall and now, are still on my list. I still have my cute little jar and everything like that. I'm not going to be talking about them because, as you can tell from the thumbnail picture, I have a lot of books on this list. And if I sit here and talk about all the ones from last year and this year, we're going to be here for entirely too long. So we're only going to be going through my new additions to the list. So I have these broken down into different segments, and I do have a list on my phone of books that I don't have physical copies of yet. So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to start with my romance/dark romance section. I don't necessarily gravitate towards romance books in the fall unless they're very specifically fall themed, but there's a couple. So the first one is going to be If It Makes You Happy. I've seen this all over TikTok. I think it's a newer release, and it's supposed to give Gilmore Girls vibes. Actually, these next two are supposed to give Gilmore Girls vibes. This one's specifically set in 1997 in a small town where this woman inherits a local inn. I think she inherits. Either way, she's now running a local inn, and she ends up falling for the local baker in the town. And I think it's supposed to give Lorelai and Luke vibes. They're just, I love them so much, and I'm very excited to read a book that's inspired by the two of them. Then The Honeycrisp Orchard is another romance book that I don't own, but I would love to read. This is another similar one. I think there's an inn owner involved, and the one person that I've seen talking about it said that it actually made her feel like she was walking outside in like the crisp fall air with crunchy leaves underfoot. I'm like, okay, sold. That is all that I need to convince me to read this. So I do actually think we're going to move quick because of the way the sun is. Alright. Kind of see me better now? Maybe. I don't know. This video is just an experience at this point. Anyway, moving into the ones that I own physical copies of, these are actually going to be more dark romance, just because I feel like some of these dark romances kind of fit the fall mood and atmosphere. The first one is going to be Blood Orange. This is a Love You in Every Lifetime book where the two of them, when they originally meet, it's an affair that they should not be having, and she ends up being brutally murdered in front of him. He finds out through that experience that he is a vampire that is cursed to live for eternity. Don't know why that's what reveals him as being a vampire, but it is. So every time she comes back into his life, they fall in love and then gets murdered, and he is forced to relive her death. This most recent time that she comes back into his life, she's a student of music studying under him at a conservatory in Venice, Italy, where he is a professor. He doesn't recognize her this time. She's hiding her identity because this time she's destined to come back as a witch who is meant to kill him. So that's just giving tragic and atmospheric because of the vampires and everything. So I'm really excited to read that one. Apologies for the dogs because Lincoln decided he's feeling energetic. Another one that gives kind of perfect ghosty, like Halloween-y vibes is A Ballad of Phantoms and Hope. In this one, the main male character is a phantom, and he's kind of just going through life with all these other phantoms, and one day he is at the spring play and he sees a phantom dancing across the stage and is like, I need to get to know her. And I think it's their tragic haunting love story. This is actually the second book after Fabric of Our Souls, which I recently read. I'm hoping that I will like this one a little bit more than I enjoyed Fabric of Our Souls, but I own the book. It gives perfect fall vibes, so like obviously I'm going to try to read it during this time. Then lastly, in this category, we have Scythe and Sparrow, which is the third book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. This is just like a dark comedic romance. Dark comedic romance, that makes no sense. It's a comedic dark romance about serial killers. It shouldn't work, but it does, and I appreciate that. This one is following a motorcycle performer who works in a circus. Her name is Rose. So she's like a daredevil rider, I believe, in this circus, which is obviously perfect for fall time because of like the circus carnival vibes and like fall fairs that everybody's having around now. She ends up breaking her leg and finds herself stuck in Nebraska at the home of a nerdy town doctor named Kane. He is running away from a failed relationship, a failed fiance, and a failed surgical practice. So he has a lot of issues going on, and now he is stuck with Rose. We get to see little bits and pieces of them throughout the other two books, and it kind of seems like they're fighting this attraction with each other. So I'm very intrigued to see how this story plays out. Sometimes I really enjoy watching the main characters fighting tooth and nail to not be with the other person, and then led to their connection kicking and screaming. Might say something about me. Don't really know. We can explore that later. The next section that I have is going to be my sort of horror, thriller, suspense. I sort of lump them all together. I do have a couple that I don't own physical copies of. The first is going to be Bad Creek. It was released earlier this year, and it is about these young women that go vacationing at this place called Bad Creek. It's a lake that they went to every year. However, the year prior, the one woman's sister actually drowned in the lake. So she has all of this stuff that she's dealing with because of that. Each of the girls is coming to the lake with different secrets and baggage that they're working through. And once they're there, they realize that there is like ghosts and just things haunting them from these different experiences. So I think it's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of angst, and then probably pretty creepy because of all of like the ghosts and spirits that are surrounding the lake. Then the other one in this category that I don't own, I struggle on where to put this because it's like kind of dystopian, but I don't actually think it's fantasy. So the description makes me feel more like it belongs in this category, but you might disagree. This is where it's living for now. And it is about a young woman named Kalani who is a prisoner, and Takeshi, who is her guard. He's the captain of this underground prison. She's given a life sentence and thrown into the prison for a theft that she didn't commit. All that she had ever wanted was to go to this infamous doomed city, which is the only place where humanity now lives above ground. And she's like, this is never going to happen now that I'm living here. In the prison, murderers are neighbors, ruthless and cold-blooded guards live to punish, and every second is a battle to survive. She thought the danger lay in befriending criminals and avoiding Takeshi, the nefarious captain who runs her cell block, but darker traps and secrets await her within the shadows of imprisonment. Her blood will coat the walls in flaming silk before her enemies let her escape to the surface, a feat no one has successfully achieved. If the reclusive and callous captain won't kill Kalani, then the merciless prisoners and her fractured mind will. It says, enter Bartleham Prison, where only the wicked remain. So, like I said, kind of just this creepy, spooky, atmospheric vibes that would come with like a horror thriller book, but the dystopian is there, so I really, like I said, didn't know where to put it. Moving on to the physical copies that I have, we have From Below by Darcy Coates. I just recently bought this. I was at the bookstore and looking at an entire shelf full of Darcy Coates books and went, I really want to get into her books. I heard they're great thriller, suspense for this time of year specifically. Didn't remember that I had another one on my fall TBR from last year that I never got to. It's not this one, but yeah, I did have one. So now there's two on my fall TBR. This one is about a ship that vanished without a trace, and then 60 years prior, its wreck was finally discovered 300 miles from its intended course, and it is a silent graveyard deep beneath the ocean's surface. Cove and her diving team are granted permission to go look into this, try to figure out maybe what sent them off course and how this wreck happened. But the Arcadia has not had its fill of death, and something dark and hungry watches from below. With limited oxygen and the ship slowly closing in around them, Cove and her team will have to fight their way free of the unspeakable horror now desperate to claim them. So it sounds so eerie and creepy. Anything below water, especially that far below water, is already giving eerie and creepy, but if it's chasing you and you're running out of oxygen, like, I think this is probably going to make me never want to go on a cruise, but that's okay because I don't know if I like cruises, so maybe not a huge loss. Then we have This Girl's a Killer. I got this earlier in the year and just haven't gotten to it yet, but it is about a young woman that is a serial killer. And by day, she's a pharma rep with a flawless reputation. By night, she culls South Louisiana of unscrupulous men. The problem is that she's realizing there is a bit of a flaw in her system, and it's being made worse by the fact that her best friend is now dating a man that Cordelia isn't sure is a good person. Says that soon enough she's going to have to come face to face with the choices that she's made, the good, the bad, and the murderous. Both her family and her freedom depend on it. So, gotta love a good serial killer vibe in a book. Obviously in a book, fiction. Fictional, that's the key word. Moving right along, we have The Ghostwriter. This is about a young woman who has spent her entire life trying to pretend that she is not related to her father, who everybody accused of killing his siblings when he was younger. As he grew up, everybody believed that he was responsible, and it kind of fueled his career as a horror writer, but she doesn't want any parts of being related to him. However, she is now on the brink of financial ruin, and she's offered a job to ghostwrite her father's last book. She agrees, not realizing that the book that she is meant to be ghostwriting is actually about that fateful night in 1975 when his siblings die. He wants to expose what happened that night, whether that be the truth or his version of it. So, something about young children committing murders or potentially committing murders is even just more creepy and disturbing than just regular murder, which is obviously like a problem in and of itself. But when somebody that's presumed to be so innocent and naive and just sweet and wholesome might do this, it just adds this whole other element to it. So I'm very intrigued about that one. Then getting into a book that I don't know much about, because sometimes I prefer to go into my thrillers a little bit blind. We have Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I've just heard incredible things about this book, this author, so I added it to my 25 and 2025 TBR and decided I was going to wait until the fall time to get into it. So I really don't know much about it, and I kind of want to keep it that way. And then lastly, for like my strictly thriller one, we have Killer Potential. I got this earlier in the year. It was a new release that I was very excited to read. It is about this young woman that it was a scholarship student in college, got straight A's, really good grades, but now she's just kind of working as a tutor for the wealthy elite in the Beverly Hills for the SATs. Not really the life that she wants, but it's the life that she has. She goes to one of the homes in the Beverly Hills expecting to find her student that she's tutoring. What she finds instead is the parents brutally murdered, and there is a random woman that is bound in the home. She releases her. Some people start noticing what's going on. They see them. So the two of them are now on the run together. She's with this random woman she knows nothing about, running from the law, and also trying to prove her innocence while doing so. It just sounds like it's going to be such a wild ride, and I'm really excited for that one. Then two that I guess could be more like horror. We have Spooky Pennsylvania. It's Tales of Haunting, Strange Happenings, and Other Local Lore. I actually got this in college as part of like a writing class that I was in and didn't end up reading the entire thing. But as somebody that lives in Pennsylvania, I feel like I should read this and see whether or not they're actually creepy or if they're tales that I've heard before. Then we have one called Tender as the Flesh. I don't know if this is actually horror. I am categorizing it as horror because of the themes in this book about replacements for protein sources, because regular traditional like meat sources aren't as readily available as they are in actual world. So I'm trying to avoid saying a certain word because I don't know if YouTube is going to have issues with it. So I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down, but because of that content, I am calling it a horror. Beyond that, I don't really know. Oh, it is about a man that is working at a local processing plant in the business of slaughtering humans, though no one calls them that anymore. Yeah. One day he's given a gift, a live specimen of the finest quality, though he's aware that any form of personal contact is forbidden on pain of death. Little by little he starts to treat her like a human being, and soon he becomes tortured by what has been lost and what might still be saved. So, I don't know. That's giving horror to me. I think that I'm gonna feel very unsettled reading that book. So, might regret that just a little bit. Then my last category that I have is my largest one, and that is fantasy. I have quite a few on my list that I don't own currently. The first up is going to be Accomplice to the Villain. I actually went to 2 different bookstores in the past few days looking specifically for this book. Did I get other books? Yes, but I went specifically for this book because I finished Apprentice to the Villain a couple weeks ago and loved it so much, so I wanted to finish reading it. Can't find it in the 2 stores that I went to, and one was a Books A Million, so I expected it to be there. But it's still on my list. I'm definitely going to be getting it. It's just a cute, cozy fantasy, and makes me laugh. It makes me laugh so much. The main characters are hilarious together. I love their dynamic. So I really do want to at least get caught up in it. There's going to be one more book at least coming out sometime next year. So I'd love to read the third one during the fall season because it's perfect for that time of year. Then I have Arcana Academy set on here, and this is about a young woman that I guess can, she does certain things with tarot cards that only people in this academy setting are allowed to have the magic and the ability to do. So she's going to be in a lot of trouble. The president or whatever, or principal, I forget what they call him, of this academy agrees to help her in exchange for her helping him with something. So he's like, you can pretend to be a student here, which is why you know how to do this magic. I'm also going to introduce you as my wife-to-be, and you're going to help me steal a tarot card from the king that is supposed to help them locate this other source of magic that has been gone for a really long time. For the most convoluted explanation that I could give you of that book. It just sounds incredible. Fall time is perfect for academic settings, at least in my brain, because everybody is going back to school, so I love anything set in academia, universities, stuff like that. And I've heard great things about this book since it's come out. Then for a book that I didn't know that I needed until I heard it was released, and that is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This is the author of the Divine Rivals duology, and this book is actually set in that same world but years prior. I don't know anything else about it. I kind of want to keep it that way because I think it'll be more fun to go into this new storyline with a clean slate. But I love her writing. It's very atmospheric, very just whimsical and beautiful. So I'm hopeful that this book will be just as good as the duology is. I might have too high of hopes. We shall see. Then we have Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber, another author that has really whimsical, beautiful writing. She wrote Once Upon a Broken Heart, that trilogy, and I need to finish Caraval, but I did enjoy the first book for that series as well. So I'm excited that she's putting another one out. I believe this is actually going to be a standalone, which is new for her, and it's set in modern day, I believe, Los Angeles? Yes. And it's a student of... She's like studying myths and lore and stuff at her college, from my understanding, and she actually finds out that all of this stuff that she's been learning about is true, and she's told that she's going to die if she doesn't find this special... I forget what exactly this object is that she's supposed to find, but if she does, it will prevent her from dying. So she starts going on this crazy journey looking for this. I think it's supposed to like take her into sort of like old Hollywood vibes, which just like gives the image of opulence and glam and some toxic stuff too. I think it's just going to be a really vibe-heavy book, and I'm excited about it. Then we have Direbound. I've heard that this is Fourth Wing, but with direwolves, and that's all that I really needed to know to add this to the list. That's all I got for that one. Then I have Nightshade on here and Evergreen Academy. I'm just lumping them both together because I don't know too much about them, but I know that they're set in academic settings. I believe Evergreen Academy is kind of more like whimsical fairy tale, much more cute, cozy fantasy. Nightshade, I think, is not, but still both academic settings, so that's why they're staying there. Then we have Hollowed. This is like a Sleepy Hollow reimagining, where the town sacrifices a girl to the Headless Horseman once a year to try to keep him at bay. The main female character is the sacrifice for the year. She comes face to face with him and he goes, hey, I'm not actually like trying to hurt the town. I'm trying to save it from this curse. And he gives her the opportunity to work with him. Obviously, Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman is the epitome of fall. So I need to read this during this time of year. Lastly, for the ones that I don't own the physical copies of, we have Hollowed Heathens. Some people that love gothic fantasy recommend this very highly. I don't really know anything about it. I tried reading the Goodreads description the last time I filmed this, didn't understand it. So we're going into this one blind, which means you're going into it blind, and I do apologize for that, but I heard that it's a great gothic fantasy, maybe dark fantasy romance too. So that's about all I got for that one. Sorry. Then moving into the stack of physical fantasy books that I have. First up we have Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. I did just get this one. I've heard really good things about his writing and really wanted to sort of get into it, and this one just looked like it could be good for the fall time. I don't know if it will, but it's about this young woman who is the third daughter to the king and queen in the realm, and she lives in a convent. Her sister has been married off to a royal prince or something like that, he's very abusive. So the main female character realizes that nobody's going to save her sister other than her. She goes to this witch. I don't know why a woman in a convent knows a witch, but apparently she does. She goes to the witch and asks for help saving her sister, and the witch gives her 3 different tasks that she needs to complete in order to do so. Obviously, normally, if you're giving a deal with a witch, something's going to go wrong. So I'm very intrigued to see sort of how this spins out of control, but I do also love the vibes of, if I don't do it, no one else will, and I don't need somebody to save me, I will save myself. In this case, save her sister. But either way, loving those vibes. Then we have Throne of Glass. This is just on here because it's on my 25 and 2025 TBR, and I'm running out of time in the year to get there. So obviously it should be on my fall TBR. Hopefully I will read the bulk of this series during the fall season. I did read the first one. I read that's the wrong book. I read Assassin's Blade. Obviously there's different recommended reading orders, but that's the one that I decided to go to. So this will be my second book in the series. Then we have A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. This is the second book to A Study in Drowning, which I read last year. Really, really enjoyed it. It's a great sort of gothic fantasy, but more heavily like dark academia, about this young woman who wants to be in the literature college, but because she's a female, she is not allowed to be. So she's an architecture student, and she gets this chance to go sort of renovate the home of a famous author that she loved as a child. Once she goes there, she realizes that just weird things are happening at this home that she thinks are related to the fairy tales that she used to read as a child. It was very atmospheric, very, like I said, gothic, dark fantasy, dark academia. Spoke a lot about the unfair nature of academics and accessibility for women. I can't really speak too heavily on the plot for this one because I think it'll give away stuff for the first one, but if you think that the first one sounds intriguing, definitely give that one a read, and then you can go into this one. Then a book that I'm so excited for, we have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I read One Dark Window at the beginning of the year. Such a fantastic gothic fantasy, super eerie and creepy and atmospheric, and I expect this book to be very similar in those vibes. This follows a young woman who is a diviner, and from my understanding, she can sort of see the future and get glimpses of it, but in order to do so, she essentially drowns herself each time. It is a very painful process. She sort of has like this commitment time period to when she's supposed to be doing this, and that period of service is almost up, but when she's nearing the end of it, this captain or knight comes to the place where her and her sisters live that she doesn't get along with, and when he's there, some of her sisters start disappearing and dying, and she and the knight sort of team up to work together to try to solve these murders. Wow, that's fun. I've heard that there is a cute, like, sentient gargoyle in here that calls everybody Bartholomew, and I think that's gonna be so much fun. I love little side characters that are like that. Like in Apprentice to the Villain, there's a little frog that just holds up signs, and they're cute and they're sassy, and I love it. So here for that, but also here for what I know is going to be some great gothic fantasy vibes. The sun is just not working with me. It's that time of day where it's moving a lot, so I apologize. Anyway, moving on. We only have a couple more, so I'm not even going to bother trying to fix my position. We'll just roll with it. We have Our Infinite Fates. This is a love you in every lifetime, but also kill you in every lifetime. It's about these two individuals who just keep reincarnating, and they always find each other and always end up killing each other, and it's like this endless loop that they've been in for centuries. And in this rendition of their lives, the main female character has a sister who I guess is supposed to be really sick, I think, if I've heard the plot correctly, and she really wants to help her, so she's determined to sort of break this pattern that her and this other person have been in so that she can stay in this timeline that she really cares about. I think it's probably going to be very tragic, very moving. I'm very curious why these people are destined to love each other but also kill each other. Similar vibes kind of to Blood Orange, just without the vampires, or at least to my knowledge, without the vampires. Then we have The Raven Scholar. This one is kind of academic setting, but also it gives trials, and I love a good trials aspect. This is set in a world where the emperor is almost at the end of his reign, and they are looking for a person to replace him. So there are 7 contenders that are going to be trained at rival monasteries. Each contender is inspired by a sacred animal: fox, raven, tiger, ox, bear, monkey, and hound. The Dragon Proxy will be revealed once the trials have begun. 8 exceptional warriors think your strategist the best of the best, and then one of them is murdered. The main female character is the one that is set to investigate. But as she hunts for her killer, dark forces begin gathering. If she succeeds, she could win the throne, whether she wants it or not, but if she fails, she will sentence herself to death and set in motion a sequences of events that could doom the Empire. I've only heard a couple people talking about this, but the ones that have absolutely rave about it, and I just really want to know what the big deal is about it. It sounds like it's going to be incredible. She described it as the book for the Ravenclaws. I am not a Ravenclaw, but if you compare anything to the Harry Potter universe, I'm obviously going to want to read it. So I think it'll be great for this time of year. And then lastly, we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by B.E. Schwab. I read the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy at the beginning of the year. Really enjoyed her writing style. So when I saw she was putting a new book out, I was very excited about it. This is supposed to be about toxic, sapphic vampires. That's all that I know. It's all that I want to know. I think it'll be fun going into it a little bit blind, but, you know, vampires, spooky season, perfect vibes, adding the toxicity, and it sounds like it's going to be a great, great time. So that is all that I have on my TBR. Obviously, like I said, I do have an entire stack from last year. I have, like, all of these represent the books from last year. I'm going to be adding to this little jar, like I said earlier, with all of these new books, and we'll just see how much I can get through for the fall season. I know I'm not going to get to all of these. I just like to have options and not feel limited, but still kind of pull in a little bit from, like, just my overall massive TBR. So if there are any on this list that you think I really need to prioritize, please do let me know. Let me know what's on your fall TBR. I have no issue with adding to my list. So if there's something you think I need to add, let me know that as well. And thank you again for watching another video. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.